Hello everyone, very good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining today's session. My name is Vivin Satyan and I am the pre-sales consultant for the AD Solutions team here at ManageEngine. Now, as a pre-sales consultant, I do take care of implementations of the Active Directory suite of products for various organizations located all over the world. All right, so now we here at ManageEngine, especially the Active Directory Solutions team, came up with this idea of inviting all our evaluators together into one tech session and then give them an insight about the application so they understand the capabilities of ADManager Plus. So that's the idea behind this session here, to bring together all our evaluators and then have a tech session so that if you have any questions, you can just shoot out the questions to us and then we'd be more than happy to explain the questions, answer the queries or explain a specific feature if you are interested. All right. Now, talking about the topics and the sessions here. So the entire session is split into two, day 1 and day 2, 30 to 45 minutes. Now, day 1, I will be covering a certain set of features, and day 2, another set of features, so that you understand the features of the applications even better. You get to know an overview, something much more than an overview about the application. All right, so it's day 1 and day 2. So day 2 is going to be on Friday, same time. So you'd have a session, and if you're not able to attend the session for some reason or the other, we have the session recorded and we'd be more than happy to share the YouTube link with you. All right, so topics for day 1. Now, day 1, I'll be talking about Active Directory and Office 365 management and reporting. So it's going to be management and reporting. So when I say management, I am referring to object management within Active Directory. So you might be administrators of your organization or you might be technicians. So if you are part of the IT department, so you have this basic responsibility of managing objects within Active Directory. Now, the whole point of introducing an application like ADManager Plus to you is to overcome the complexity that we have with the native tools. When I say native tools, I am referring to tools like PowerShell, VB, your Exchange Management Console, Active Directory users and computers, and Link Management Console, your Office 365 Admin Center, and all that. So instead of toggling between multiple windows or using complex methodologies, you can do or you can achieve the same or even much more using ADManager Plus, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a short while. I'm not trying to belittle PowerShell here. PowerShell is a very powerful tool, but the problem or the challenge that we have is PowerShell is good at querying, but PowerShell is not good at formatting. And that's when you need to have a tool like ADManager Plus to retrieve information from Active Directory with just few mouse clicks instead of spending more time with the native tools. All right, so it's going to be all about object management and reporting. So when I say reporting, how do you get crucial information from Active Directory? When I say crucial information, for example, how do you find out how many users are inactive in your Active Directory infrastructure? And how would you find out who has access to a confidential folder in your Windows infrastructure? Now, that confidential folder might have business critical data or user critical data. So how would you ensure that only the appropriate users have access to that data? And even if you find that there are certain users who shouldn't be there on the list are there, how would you perform a permission cleanup? So we are going to discuss all that on day number 1. Now, day 2, next session, we will be talking about a different set of features, namely delegation, automation, and workflow. So when I say delegation, so you are an administrator and you have 10 technicians in your organization. Now, if you want those 10 technicians to perform an action in Active Directory, the first thing you normally do is you elevate their permissions in Active Directory. Now, wouldn't it be much more effective and secure if there is an alternative? An alternative in the sense, if you have an option to uh, delegate certain tasks to your technicians and give them access to a console, they log into the console and they perform the exact actions that you want and with all the restrictions in place, but at the same time you are not going to elevate the user's permission in Active Directory in any way. Wouldn't that be nice? That's something that we will be discussing on day 2 when we talk about delegation, and we'll be diving into its details when we discuss about delegation. Now, automation is all about you tell the application to do something in Active Directory on a specific date and time, the application does it for you. For instance, the HR gives you a list of user accounts to be created, and what you do is you tell the automation to create 5 user accounts, 3 of them belonging to the IT department and one for the marketing team and the other one for the finance team. All right, so you tell the application to create 5 accounts next Tuesday at 10 a.m. and the application does it for you. Not only that, you tell the application to find out the users who are inactive in your Active Directory infrastructure, disable the accounts, move them to a different OU, remove them from all security groups for security reasons, and then delete the accounts from Active Directory after 90 days. If you would like to automate the process, yes, you can do that as well. Talking about workflow. So Active Directory workflow is something like a request and approve methodology. Let me give you an example here. So instead of the HR writing out the names of the user in a spreadsheet and then sharing the spreadsheet with you for account creation, you give the HR access to a tool like ADManager Plus, so they raise a request for account creation and that request gets forwarded to the next level for approval. And you have multi-level approval workflow here, which means if there is going to be an IT technician, so the IT technician would be the first level of approval, and then maybe the line manager, and the third level of approval can be an IT administrator. And if you think that these 3 levels of approval are not required, I'm okay with 1 level of approval, yes, you have an option to customize the workflow as well. So we'll be discussing about all this on day 2. But for now, as I said, we will be focusing more on management and reporting. All right, so let's get started here. Let me log in. Now, if you have the tool installed in your laptop or one of your servers, you can access it. And some of you who might not have installed the application, all you need to do is just go to ADManagerPlus.com. That's the site. And you have the download link right here. And you have all the resources related to the document online itself. So you just go to the resources and you download the documents. We have case studies here, use cases, and if you'd like to get to know more about our customer base, you have it right here. Okay, so ADManagerPlus.com is the name of the website. Okay, now after installing the application, you log into the application and you're all set to manage your Active Directory infrastructure. All right. Now, as soon as I log into ADManager Plus, the first thing that I would see is I would find 3 graphs here. So 3 graphs per domain. So if you have configured multiple domains, let me quickly take you to the domain settings link right here. So if I go to domain settings, I have configured 3 domains for this installation, which means from a centralized console, I will be able to manage the objects of all these 3 domains. All right. So if I go back to the Home tab, I would find 3 graphs for every domain that I have configured. So in the first set of graph, the first graph gives me the number of user accounts in my AD infrastructure, how many of them are inactive, disabled, locked out, and how many are password expired users. I have the count right here. So this is something like an overview. So you have the same overview for computers, workstations, and domain controllers. and also for groups, OUs, and GPOs as well. You would find the same set of graph for every domain that you have configured. This is for the second domain, and if you scroll down, you have the graph for the third domain. So this gives you an overview. This is something that you do not have in your Active Directory users and computers. If you log into Active Directory users and computers, that's not going to give you an overview about the objects in your Active Directory domain. Whereas this page, the Home tab, gives you an overview about your configured Active Directory domain. All right. Now, let me go to ADMGMT. Now, we will be focusing on Active Directory management and reports for this session. As I told you, we'll be talking more about delegation, workflow, and automation on day 2 or on session 2. Okay. Now, when I say Active Directory management, I am referring to object management. And when I say object, I'm referring to users, computers, groups, contacts, and GPOs. Apart from that, I'd be able to manage OUs, and if you have Exchange Server installed in your organization and you're trying to manage mailboxes, be it a normal user mailbox or a shared mailbox, room or equipment mailbox, you have a separate category for that as well. Okay, and also we have a section dedicated for managing permissions. I'm going to talk about this in a short while, so please watch out for this section, which is file server management. All right. Okay, now let's start with a basic process here, which is account provisioning. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create an account, an Active Directory user account. So right now I'm in user management and I'm trying to create a user account in Active Directory. Now I go to create single user. Now I request you to notice something here. Okay, now think of any object in Active Directory, you would find it in this layout. That's the speciality of this layout. So you have all in one layout. So if you have a look at the General tab, you have all the basic attributes for your user accounts. That includes first name, last name, their pre-Windows 2000, their logon name, employee ID, and the OU in which the account is to be created and all that. The Account tab has the most important attribute of all, which is member of, the group membership of your user accounts. If you want this user to be a member of 5 different security groups, this is where you define it. And if you want, if you're creating an account for a contract employee and you want that account to expire at the end of 2017, this is where you define the account expiry time. All right, and some of you might be administrators of financial sectors and you do not want your users to be logging in after 8 p.m. So you can define the logon hour restriction from here. All right. Now, talking about the contact, all the contact related attributes like title, department, company, and other stuff. Now, these are the basic Active Directory attributes. Now, apart from the basic Active Directory attributes, you have something else. You have Exchange, you have terminal services, you have links, Skype for Business, or custom attributes, and even Office 365 and Google Apps. So you have options here for everything. So if you just go to the Exchange tab, and if you're going to create a mailbox for the account, you just go to the radio button, mailbox enable user. Now once the prerequisites are met, the mail servers will be detected here. And all you need to do is just choose the right mail server and the store. The rest of the attributes will be auto-populated. You just go ahead and create an account. And if you'd like to enable remote mailbox, very simple. Just go ahead and select the checkbox here and you enable remote mailbox for this account that you're going to create. Terminal services, same. Link, LCS, OCS, the same procedure. So you just go to link server or Skype for Business, you choose the link server here and all the settings, and you can even configure custom attribute using the application without extending your Active Directory schema. That's the best part here. We are not going to touch the schema. We are not going to make any permission changes to your Active Directory infrastructure, but you still get things done. That's how you do it. So you can even configure custom attributes as well. Now, if you feel that filling all these attributes one by one is going to be time consuming, you'd like to get things done much more quicker, you have an option to copy an existing user's attribute. So you just go to copy user attributes here. So let's say this is your Active Directory infrastructure and you'd like to copy the attributes of a specific user account belonging to the same department as the account that you're going to create. So you go to select attributes here and then you pick and choose the attributes that you're going to copy. So what attributes are you going to copy from the general category, and what attributes from the account category, so on and so forth. So you select the attributes that you're going to copy and you hit OK, and the minute you hit apply, all the selected attributes will be copied to the layout. So this saves you a lot of time. If you already have an account and you'd like to copy the properties of the account as such for this new account, this is how you do it. All right. Now, I was talking about Office 365 and Google Apps account provisioning. So 360-degree account provisioning. So you not only create an AD account, you can even enable Exchange, Remote Mailbox, Skype for Business, Office 365, and even Google Apps. All right. So in order to add the Office 365 tab here, or even the Google Apps tab, all you need to do is a simple configuration. And where do you go to make the configuration? It's right here in the Admin tab. You go to the Admin tab. You have two links, one for Google Apps and the other one for Office 365. You just go to the Office 365 link. So Windows Azure module must be installed on the ADManager Plus server for you to use Office 365, and you do not have to search or Google for the Windows Azure AD module. You have the link right here. So you just click the link, download the Windows Azure AD module, and that's it. So within a matter of minutes, you'd be installing the Windows Azure module. After which, the only thing you need to do is provide a valid Office 365 credential here and link it to any domain that you want, and then hit save. So after you have done that, if you now go back to the creation layout, you would have Office 365 here. You will be able to create an account, an Office 365 account, at the same time as you create an AD account here. Now this is just for creating one account. Now what if you have a requirement of creating accounts in bulk? Let's say 5 user accounts and all 5 of them belonging to different departments. That's when we have something called as templates. User creation templates. You have it right here, user creation templates and user modification templates. Now if you go to user creation templates, I've already created sample templates here. As you might notice, I've created one template for the finance department and another template for the HR department and another one for marketing, sales, and IT. So all these templates have different configurations. Now the layout of the template is pretty much the same layout as the one that you saw in the user creation layout. So I'm just going to quickly create a template for you, and I'll also be showing you the additional options that you can use to effectively provision user accounts in AD. And creating a template is going to be a one-time thing. All right. So you create a template and then you can use it every time you have a requirement for account creation. So you go to create new template. As you might notice, the layout is the same, but the only difference here is you will be able to define the attribute format here. For instance, if you want the logon name of the IT users to be something like first name dot last name at domain.com, you hit the drop down, you look for the format is right here, first name dot last name at domain.com, and the example format is right here. If the first name of the user is going to be John and the last name is Smith, So the format would look something like john.smith@domain.com. And if you have a naming format that your organization follows, this is where you go to create your own naming format. So you can create a customized format specific for your organization, and then once you successfully save the format, that format would get listed here. You can simply go ahead and use the format. All right. Now this is something related to the template. Now you have the same copy user attributes right here. So the same option that you have in the user creation layout is also in the layout of the template. So if you already have an IT user account and you're creating a template for the IT department, if you'd like to copy the user's property as such, let's say most of the attributes, not all, but leaving out the unique attributes, if you're going to copy all the general attributes, you just go to copy user attributes and then copy them. Okay. Now, you might be delegating this template to the HR, delegating this template to the IT technician, or even to another administrator. Now, if that's the case, the layout need not be the same for all the users. Now, based on their job role or their responsibility in the AD hierarchy, so what you can do is you can customize this layout. How do you customize this layout? You have something called enable drag and drop. So let's say you are going to delegate this template to an IT technician. All right. You don't want the IT technician to be filling values for Exchange or remote mailbox. So how do you get rid of those two options from the layout? Very simple. You go to enable drag and drop, and when I hit enable drag and drop, you might have noticed that this layout becomes now customizable. So which means if I do not want the Exchange tab, I just go to the Exchange tab and I have something called delete tab. Delete. All right, delete it. Now, if I don't want the web page attribute to be here in this layout, I think this is not necessary for my organization, I delete. Now, before deleting, I want you to notice something else here. So you have two other options, which is edit and make silently active. Now, make silently active would be very useful for you when you already configure a value for a field in this template and you save the template and you delegate this template to your technician. But you'd like to make sure that the technician is not changing the value. So that's when you can use the make silently active option. So if you make an attribute silently active, the value will be passed to Active Directory, but the technician or the person using this template will not be able to alter the attribute's value. That's what make silently active does. All right. So if I'd like to delete this attribute from the layout, you just hit delete, hit OK. The attribute is gone. Now what if you have deleted an attribute by mistake and you'd like to bring it back to the layout? So you have the field tray in the left hand side. So any attribute that you delete will be placed in the field tray here. And if you need to bring this back to the layout, just drag and drop. That's it. You can even make that attribute mandatory without extending the schema. All right. So for instance, I have employee ID here. So you might notice that employee ID is in black font. So which means employee ID is not a mandatory attribute in Active Directory. But you don't want your help desk to skip employee ID, right? Which means you need to make that mandatory. So the only way by which you can make it mandatory is by extending the schema. But how would you do the same without extending the schema? That's what the customization allows you to do. So all you need to do is just edit the attribute. You have three options: mandatory, read-only, and none. You select the option mandatory, hit done. That's it. So now, as you might have noticed, we have an asterisk here, a red asterisk sign here besides employee ID, which means now we have made this attribute mandatory. All right. Another option that you have in the user creation templates is dealing with duplicate accounts. If you are creating 10 accounts, you might have an account with the same name as that of an existing user in AD. Let's say you already created an account John Smith, and 2 months down the line you create another user account with the same name. So which means there has to be a way by which we deal with duplicate accounts. This customization also allows you to deal with duplicates. So how you do it? So you edit an attribute, and if you have a look at the bottom of the pop-up window, you have something called prevent duplication and a checkbox below that. You can check for duplicates in the domain level or at the forest level depending on your requirement, and we have three choices. If a duplicate entry is found, you can apply a different naming format, something like if it's going to be john.smith, you can maybe apply a format like jsmith@domain.com, or you can even create your own customized format here. The second option is you can simply append numbers to the duplicate entry. So if the first user is John Smith, the second user would be John Smith 2. And if it's going to be another duplicate entry, it would be John Smith 3. Or simply don't create user accounts. So you would have an error message popping up in the user interface stating an account with the same name already exists. That's what you have in the traditional Active Directory users and computers console. Alright, so that's an overview about the user creation templates. Now, after you have created a template, let's say you've created a template for the IT department and you are going to create 5 accounts for the IT department. So another thing that you would want adding to the template is a CSV file. So the CSV file will have the name of the user accounts that you're going to create, whereas the template will have the other configurations or the attribute values and formats that you want. So if you bring these two things together, you can create any number of user accounts in Active Directory with all the attributes that you have in mind. So we're not talking about partial account creation here. We are talking about 360-degree account creation that includes an AD account, Exchange account, Office 365 and Mail, and even Google Apps account, and also Skype if you use Skype at all. All right, so I was talking about the CSV file here. So let me quickly show you a sample CSV file. This is how a sample CSV file would look like. So the first line is going to be the header, and below which you can just go ahead and specify the first name and the last name of the user accounts. This is a very basic CSV file. You might notice something here. So I have not used first name, comma, last name. Instead, I have used something different, which is given name, comma, SN. And if you're wondering what's this given name and SN, it's nothing but the LDAP format for the first name and the last name in Active Directory. So if you are creating a CSV file, please make sure that the header that you are using is an LDAP format. All right, and if you're wondering on where to go to get the exact LDAP mappings for an attribute in Active Directory, we have it covered. All you need to do is just go to the help document here. If you just have a look at the top right corner, you would have something called help besides the license link. You just go to help and you go to CSV import, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to import a CSV file that has the name of the users that you're going to create. You go to CSV import, create users using CSV, list of LDAP attributes supported. Now this document gives you the mapping of all the attributes. For first name, the LDAP is going to be given name, and for the last name it's going to be SN. And if you're trying to populate the full name, the header that you should be using in the CSV is name, or CN. So you have mappings for pretty much all the attributes here. You can use this as a reference document. All right. Now, or you can just go with a very simple CSV file. So you can add any attributes that you want to the CSV file. So if you'd like to add description, you just go ahead and add any attribute that you want. Please make sure that they are in LDAP format. That's the only requirement. Now, after you have created a CSV file and a template, let's say you're going to create 2 user accounts, James Smith and Ronald Steve. So James Smith is going to be a user for the IT department, and the second user is going to be for the HR department. So you have two different users belonging to different departments, which means you'll have to call two different templates. So the only thing that you need to do is just specify a header template name. And if you're going to specify the template name below which you specify the value of, the template name, the actual value of the template, so you actually map the user to the correct template. Now, after creating a very simple CSV file, all you need to do is just go to create users in bulk. You have the second link right here, and then you import the CSV file that you have created. So if you have multiple templates within the CSV file, all you need to do is just hit OK, and the accounts will be created in Active Directory. All right. Or if you are creating 10 user accounts belonging to the same department, all have the same configurations, you can choose the template from here itself. So you just go to change, let's say template for the IT department accounts. You hit OK, and then import the CSV file without the template name in the header. So you can do a lot more using the user creation layout, and that was just for the creation part. Now when it comes to management can be split into three: creation, modification, and deletion. So we have just discussed creation here. The next step is modification. So when I say modification, that branches down into various Active Directory actions. So you can reset the user's password, you can unlock the account, modify the group attributes. Let's say you have a list of users that you are going to disable in Active Directory. So they might have left your organization, and as a policy, as a security practice, you are going to remove the users from all groups. All right. So if you are going to use the Active Directory users and computers in order to find out the exact group membership of the user account, you might be that's often deceptive. The reason is the Active Directory users and computers console gives you only the direct group membership of a user account. All right. So what if one of those groups are iteratively linked, or in a nested manner linked to 10 different admin groups? The Active Directory users and computers console isn't going to tell you that the user is a part of 10 different admin groups in a nested manner. So if you are planning to remove the users from all the groups for security reasons soon after they have left the organization, you simply go to Group Attributes, and you have a checkbox right here which reads Clear All Group Members. But you'd like to still keep them as a member of one basic group, let's say domain users or any other basic security group. You set a group as primary, and you can even add the user to the same group. And this is where you import the spreadsheet or the CSV file that you have, and just hit go. That's it. I'm talking about bulk operations here. All right, so you're not going to use scripts. You're not going to be toggling between multiple windows. You're just going to create a very simple CSV file, something like this, that just has a unique identifier of the user accounts, and then import the same file here. And within a matter of minutes or even seconds, you will be able to manage users in bulk. All right? Let's say you are going to move users from one OU to another. You can use the same process. You just go to Move Users, select the target container, the destination, and then import the CSV file, hit go. That's it. And if you're trying to delete users, just follow the same process. Import the CSV file, just hit go. And if you're trying to restore deleted user accounts in Active Directory, the process is the same. So import the CSV file, hit restore, all the user accounts will be restored in Active Directory. And you'll have to notice one thing here. If you are using if your domain functional level is something equal to 2008 R2 or something about that, you would be able to restore all the attributes related to a deleted object, deleted user object. All right. Okay, so that's for modifying user accounts. So some of you might be using Exchange, and if you're trying to migrate Exchange from one server to another, mailboxes from one server to another, you have something called migrate mailbox right here. All right, so you just go to migrate mailbox, specify the target Exchange server and database, import the same CSV file, perform the migration or complete the migration within a matter of minutes. All right, and also setting mailbox rights, which is very, very important. All right, so if you're going to set permissions on let's say the mailboxes for 50 accounts, you just go ahead and define the permissions right here. It can be an allow or a deny permission. Select a group or a user and then select a permission here. It can be delete mailbox, read, change, full ownership, or full mailbox access. And then select the levels of access. It can either be that object or sub-objects or sub-containers. You select that and you hit add. So you can do pretty much anything using the application when it comes to object management. The same holds good for computer, group, and contact management as well. So I'm going to be talking about all these other topics in detail, but before that I'd like to cover some important reports. Alright, now if you are trying to get information from Active Directory without using scripts, then this is the application that you might have to try. So you can just give it a try. I'm going to discuss some basic reports here because we have close to 200 reports, all categorized in the left-hand side. So you have reports for users, passwords, groups, talking about permissions, who has access to what. You have the NTFS report that gives you the answers for that question, and you have reports for Office 365 too. So how many users are active, how many users are inactive, and among the active users, what is their license details, what is their subscription, and all that. Talking about compliance, yes, we have reports for that as well. So let me start with a basic report here and things that you can do using a very simple report. So you have the all users report, all right? So all users, I have 3 domains. I select a domain, and I'd not like to get the list of users in the entire organization. I'm interested in a specific OU, or let's say 2 OUs for that matter. So in order to query the users, all the users belonging to a specific OU, organizational unit, I just go to add OUs, and then I select the OUs that are required. Alright, so I select the OUs. I can even exclude child OUs from the search, but for now I just hit OK and then I hit generate. The minute I hit generate, the application contacts all your domain controllers, and then here it goes. So it's now trying to retrieve objects from your Active Directory infrastructure. Alright, so it now retrieves information. So I'm just going to stop the report here for demo purposes. Now, as you might have noticed, we have close to 3,800 users right here. Now that you have the list of user accounts in your Active Directory infrastructure, and if you wish to manage some of these user accounts, all you need to do is just select the checkboxes of the user accounts that you'd like to manage, and you have the management options right here. You can delete the selected accounts, disable them if you want. You can move the selected accounts to another OU, or if it's something else, you have the more actions. You go to more actions, hit the drop down, you can reset their password, unlock their account. Think about any management action that you want to perform, you have it right here. You have actions for Exchange. You can set their delivery limits, and you can even modify their terminal services attribute as well. So just by generating a report, you can manage the objects. So this is what we call as on-the-fly Active Directory management. Now, isn't this much easier compared to scripting and having to toggle between multiple windows? For me, yes, this is definitely much more easier. You can even export this report to any format that you want: CSV, PDF, XLSX, HTML, or CSV.de. And if you do not have the time to log into the application and then generate the report, you can even schedule this report. You can even schedule multiple reports if you want. And you can tell the application to email the report every Monday at 10 a.m. The application will do it for you. And the most important feature that I wanted to discuss with you is gaining more insight on the user attributes. How do you gain more insight? You have something called add remove columns. So I want you to notice this layout here. So this layout has close to 8 attributes: first name, last name of the user accounts, the department to which they belong, their full name, their display name, employee ID, their password expiry time, and their distinguished name, and other attributes. If you'd like to add more attributes or remove certain attributes from this layout, you go to add remove columns, and then you have 2 columns here: available attributes in Active Directory and the selected attributes that you see in the report. If you just scroll down, you have close to 50 attributes that you can just pick and choose and then add to the report. So if you'd like to find out what's the company name, or what's the city, or what's the account status, whether it's enabled or disabled, or what's the account expiry time, what's the manager attribute, their email address, or what's their SAM account name, or password status, or password last set, password expiry, you can just go ahead and add any attribute to the report. That includes the custom attribute as well, employee ID and employee number, and then hit OK. So the view gets modified and you get to know all the information that you want. This is just one report. You have a lot more to explore. So users with empty attributes. So how would you find out whether there are any users with employee ID attribute empty? You just go to users with empty attribute, you select the attribute that you'd like to query, and you'd like to know whether there are any users with no employee ID. So you select employee ID right here, hit save, and then hit generate. So the application is going to tell you whether there are any users in your Active Directory infrastructure with no employee ID. And you can also do the same for these many attributes right here. And how would you find out whether there are any users in your Active Directory infrastructure with the same attribute value? For instance, if let's take employee ID, the same employee ID. You don't want 2 users to have the same employee ID in your organization. So if that's going to be your concern, you just go to users with duplicate attributes, select the attribute as employee ID right here, employee and employee ID, hit OK. And if you hit generate, this result is going to give you the list of users who have duplicate employee IDs and its value, so that you can just go ahead and modify from the report itself. And talking about account report, so if you'd like to find out if there are any disabled users, any locked out users, if there are any users whose account is expired, yes, you can do that. Now another interesting report is inactive users. So if you'd like to find out whether there are any users in your Active Directory infrastructure who have not logged into your AD domain in the last 300 days or 100 days or 50 days, you just go ahead and select the time period from here and then hit generate. In fact, I want you to try this out right now. Right? Please log into ADManager Plus. Go to AD reports, and then you have inactive users report right here. Select inactive users report, any time period, and then hit generate. So this report will tell you when did the user last log in. Alright, so and whether the account status is enabled or not. Now if you'd like to remove those users from Active Directory, it's just a matter of selecting the checkboxes here and performing the management action. So the other options are the same, so you can just go ahead and generate the report and see it for yourself. right? Now we have other interesting reports like um, password expired users or password unchanged users. This is very important from a security standpoint. If there are any users who have not changed their password since the account has been created, you might want to find that, and you might have to either, if they are administrative accounts, you might have to force a change password or even reset their password for security reasons. So password unchanged users, group reports. Now, as I told you, the Active Directory users and computers will only give you the direct group membership of a user account and not the nested group membership. And when I say nested group membership, for example, a user can directly be a member of group A and B. And group A, if it is in turn linked to 10 different admin groups, the Active Directory users and computers console isn't going to tell you that the user is linked in a nested manner to 10 different admin groups. All right. So whereas this report can give you the information, detailed group members. So you select a specific group and you just go ahead and find out the users within the group, groups within the group, computers and contacts within the group. So I want you to try this report and then find it for yourself. You would find something really amazing. So all this you get with just few mouse clicks. That's the best part here. Now let's talk about NTFS report. So let's say you have a confidential folder and you want that confidential folder to be accessed only by the administrators and no one else. So you are not quite sure whether it is just the administrators or someone else who has access to that folder. So what you do is you quickly go to NTFS reports and then you go to permission for folders, right? So and then you select the confidential folder here. Let's say confidential data is the name of that shared folder, and it has 50 subfolders within it. So you just select all the 50 subfolders and then you hit generate. Now the minute you hit generate, it's going to give you the list of users who have access to that folder. So I see that the administrators have access to the folder, which is good. I see that a user account has access, but something that is to be noticed is I find that the everyone group has access to the confidential data, which is not good. Now I'd like to make sure that only the administrators have access, and I'd like to remove all the other entries. How do I do that? How do I perform a permission cleanup? I go to ADMG and then I go to File Server Management. I go to Remove or Modify NTFS Permissions. I select the same confidential folder here, and now this is where I choose the administrator group. So I select the administrator group. It's right here, the administrators, and it's the group. I hit OK, but the job is not done. All right, it's just half done. So how would I remove the existing permissions and then set only the administrators? Very simple. The second checkbox here does the job for you. So if I select the second checkbox, which reads remove all existing permissions and apply only the above ones, only this permission will be set, whereas the existing ones will be wiped out. It can even be 1,000 users or 200 groups having access to that. Selecting this checkbox is going to wipe out the entire permission list and then set the administrators to the account. That's it. And you can define the level of permission that the administrators should have on the confidential shared folder. It can just be a read or even write or delete, whatever it is. And if it has subfolders, you can also decide the level of permission on the subfolders. And it can be an allow or a deny permission. All right. So talking about Office 365, you can find out how many users are inactive in your Office 365 infrastructure. Why is it even important? You very well know that Office 365 is licensed based on the number of mailboxes. So initially you purchase the licenses for 3,000 mailboxes, but 3 months down the line only 2,500 users are active. 500 users have left the organization for some reason or the other, or the account is disabled. And the next year when you renew the licenses, you would still be paying for 3,000 users. So in order to avoid all that, you need to have a clear understanding on the number of active users and the inactive users. This report is going to give you the information that you're looking for, inactive users. Now, once you have this information, you'd like to remove the licenses from these inactive users. In order to remove the licenses from the inactive users, you quickly go to ADMGMT. You have Office 365 Management right here, and then you go to Assign or Remove Licenses. So you can assign or remove licenses from those inactive users. And once you have removed the licenses from the inactive users, you can use that license to map it to the active users. So a quick recap on today's session. We discussed about Active Directory management and reports, some of the features that are within the application. You have a lot more, and we discussed something about the reports as well. So we discussed about inactive users, finding out the exact group membership of the account and who has access to what, the NTFS report section, so on and so forth. Now, the next session, which is on Friday, we'll be discussing about the other features of the application. Now, in the meanwhile, if you have any questions pertaining to the application, or if you need more explanation about a feature, or you'd like to understand the functionality of the application as a whole, you need a proof of concept, please shoot out an email to support@admanagerplus.com. We'd be more than happy to assist you. We work 24/5, and you can always get in touch with us for any technical query, or even it can be a query related to the pricing or other stuff as well. All right, so I see that I have some questions posted in the chat session, in the chat window. I'll make sure to get back to you, everyone, as soon as the session is over. So the recording of this session will be available to you, and I will be able to share the link, and you can use the same webinar link to join the session on Friday as well. That is session 2. So thank you very much. You all have a nice evening. Bye-bye.